Good evening. I am Deirdre Moody. I am co-anchoring on the Denise Newsom Show, and you are watching the Denise Newsom Show. This show highlights the diversity of gifts and talents. Please like, share with hearts, tag someone, comment, and subscribe. Today, we are honoring Martin Luther King holiday. So we want to give thanking him for his grateful contributions and sacrifices. Dr. King fought for all people. So tonight, let's get ready for tonight. Tonight, we are coming with an amazing guest, Miss Charlotte Hill, and our amazing panel. Miss Denise Newsom herself, and Mrs. Sybil Rucker. Happy New Year. Get ready for our panel and our guests. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year, everybody. I'm so excited about tonight's topic. I know, ladies, we were in discussions, at the beginning of the year about all of the things that are going on in the world. We kind of talk about some diverse topics. And one of our topics that we talked about was about the gentleman who passed away some months ago from suicide. His name was Twitch. And we wanted to bring that discussion to the forefront because in our community, in the African American community, suicide is on the rise. And so today I want to talk to this awesome woman of God, Miss Charlotte Hill, about her experience dealing with suicide, and along with her writing an amazing book called The Ring of Life, Still Standing. I think that title was just awesome.
Thank you.
We want to welcome her. And if you can begin tonight to just kind of elaborate a little bit about what happened in your life for you to even get to the place of making a decision or having suicidal thoughts about suicide.
Well, first, it started when I was 11. I was sexually abused by my stepdad for years. And through that and going through the different areas in my life growing up, I blamed myself. I blame myself for everything that happened to me. It wasn't just me, my siblings as well. But for me, I blamed myself. I thought it was my fault that it happened. So during that time, he went to prison, years later because of it. But because of the guilt that I felt, I went into depression. I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about my life. I got into relationships that were not right for me, but I was longing and looking for that father figure that I didn't have. It took me some years. I had been journaling since I was about 10 years old. And last year was the first year I said, okay, put it on paper like you were supposed to. You should have put it on paper years ago, but it took for a young lady at my church to introduce me to another young lady who is a gifted writer, gifted ghostwriter, who said, let's do this, and I'm going to be with you along the way. So through that process and the process of inner healing and deliverance for me, I was able to go ahead and put it on paper, get it into a book for everybody to read. And I tell people, it's not just my story, it's my testimony. Because I tried to commit suicide several times. Wow. The last time I almost succeeded. I took a can of gasoline, poured it all over my body, and set myself on fire.
Jesus.
Lord, my Lord.
And by the grace of God, I'm still here.
Yes.
Thank you, Jesus.
And I attribute everything to God. Because if my mother hadn't instilled it in us, I wouldn't know who God was. But it took for me to get to a certain age in my life to where I said, okay, Charlotte, you got to do better.
Yeah.
So when I started going through inner healing and deliverance, it helped me see me. And then I realized I had a voice.
Amen.
My testimony needs to be shared with others because you never know what the next person is going through.
That's right.
Absolutely.
At the time I was dealing with my own demons, the person next to me had demons as well, but I didn't know because I was
Mhm,
caught up in self.
mhm,
And when I started learning how to love myself again, I was able to move forward.
mhm.
I still have some struggles sometimes, but I have to remember who I am and who I belong to,
That's right.
which
Absolutely.
is Jesus Christ.
That's right.
But he helps me get through a lot of nights. You
Mhm.
know, I've came a long way, and I thank God for that. And I wrote the book to inspire somebody else or someone else, male or female. You're
Mhm.
not by yourself. You're not
Mhm.
alone.
That's right.
It wasn't by choice that the things happened to you that happened. You know, if someone asked me if I had to do it all over again, I told them I would because
Wow.
it was my journey. It was my cross
Yes.
to bear,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know. And I used to blame my mom for what we went through, but then I had to realize as I got older, she was a victim as well,
Mm.
because we're quick to point fingers and
Yes.
say that this person should have did this or that person should have did that, but you really don't know the fear that somebody can put in you to where you're afraid to do anything and act on anything.
Absolutely.
you know
Absolutely. Your story is amazing. When it comes to suicide, there's so many different areas that we could hit today, but you just brought up, your mental health, how you dealt with your mental health, how you dealt with, the sexual abuse. And one of the things that I want us to talk about is the blame. When things happen to us, I think it's in us to say, the reason why this particular thing occurred is because this person couldn't stand up for themselves, or this person couldn't protect me, and so forth and so on. I think there's a place of maturity where you get to where you say, you know what, I can't really blame my mother
right.
because my mother didn't really know any better, or they couldn't really prevent this thing from happening and it wasn't really their fault. I want the rest of the panel, Sybil and Denise, to kind of elaborate on what Miss Hill talked about when it comes to, you know, blaming. Has that ever occurred in any type of traumatic experience that you guys have experienced as well? As she was talking, I want the blame portion to kind of be put out there a little bit, if
For
that makes sense.
it makes a lot of sense. For me, yes, I have blamed other people for things that took place in my life.
Mhm.
Whereas as I matured and got older, and the main one was my mom, I would blame her for a lot of things. But as I got older, I realized that a lot of it was me,
Yeah.
if that
Mhm.
makes sense. A lot of it was me. And I also, as far as with vanishing and the blame, I think that it, how can I say it? I believe that you vanish before you vanish.
Yeah.
Mm, yep.
You vanish before you vanish.
Yes.
So even with blaming other people for, some of the things that happen in our lives, we still deep inside know the truth. Feel,
Yes.
if that makes sense, knowing
Yes.
that it's me. But instead of me, uh, how can I say it? Instead of me trying to uh take the blame for myself, like she said, it's easy to point the finger.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I totally agree. And first, I just want to say thank you for that awesome, awesome testimony. It's
Yes.
just wow, like wow.
Yes.
And also, I just want to, since we had brought up Twix and in that, the suicide portion, we want to just extend our condolences to his family and
Yes.
especially to his wife and his children. Um, Besides all of that, I totally agree with what Nisi was saying. A lot of times we we had this, we had a topic back in 2022. We talked about own it. And one of the things that makes it very difficult for us to do, especially if we're going through a traumatic experience, is that we have difficulty in owning most of the responsibilities that got us into certain predicaments. Now, I understand in your case, you had a traumatic experience because you were actually molested by another person, and on top of that, that was someone that was your stepfather, someone that your mother, a family member, was with. So even with that traumatic, there is no excuse for that. I'm sorry. But just, a lot of times as we grow up, I too tried to commit suicide once or twice. I too went through traumatic things. I too been molested. I've been raped. So I understand all of that. And it takes maturity to kind of get out of that. I don't blame my family or people that really didn't have a direct impact in the decisions I made.
Right.
Because as you get older, you get to a point where, all right, these things happen, but I didn't have to choose to be with a certain person in relationship. I didn't have to choose to have certain friends that were not good for me. I didn't have to choose whatever it may be. Those decisions, we have to kind of own that. And we have to really be responsible to say, well, yeah, and I could have made better decisions. I am part to blame, and move on. Hard, it's easier said than done, but to move on.
Yes. So those thank you ladies for answering those questions. Miss Hill, one of my questions I'm going to ask next is because depression is huge in our community, mental health is an issue in our community. Seeing a psychiatrist, seeing a therapist, it's difficult for us to admit that we need some assistance. In your time of depression, while you were experiencing your trauma, at any time did you make a decision like, I need some assistance, I need some help, or did you reach out to someone to advise you or counsel you during that traumatic experience?
Actually, during that time, my church was my comfort. And because of the denomination I was in at the time, we were taught to basically, you sit back, you let your pastor know what's going on, or you talk with the mothers of the church. Even as I got older, I realized, okay, this ain't gonna work, because you always hear about church hurt. Even when you tell certain individuals in the church, what's going on with you, they want you to push it up under the rug per se.
Yeah.
So with me, I went to the church, when I was dealing with a lot of things, but it got pushed under the rug. And it took for me, and I tell people this all the time, it took for me to move all the way to Arkansas.
Wow.
And go to a little church called the Central Arkansas Worship Center to find me.
Wow.
To find me and to realize I had a voice. I was worth something. I wasn't worthless. I could speak up for myself.
Wow.
I was able to recognize the different legions that were attached to me. And I had to learn how to forgive the ones that hurt me, along with forgiving myself. So did I seek counsel? No.
Got it.
The counsel I seek, like you said, we hear a lot about seeking, professional help and everything. I went to God first.
Amen.
When I went to God and when I went through deliverance and inner healing, when I say it made a huge difference in my life.
Wow.
A huge difference. That was my comfort. Inner healing and deliverance and being able to have a voice.
Excellent. Excellent. Ladies, I'm loving this conversation with Ms. Hill, and we talked before the show, and she talked about how she belonged to a healing and deliverance ministry. You guys know I also belong to a healing and deliverance ministry. One of the things that's really powerful about that type of ministry is that they deal with real issues.
Yeah.
A lot of ministries is wonderful. We can get the word of God and talk about the word and we could talk about how wonderful God is, but sometimes we won't reach into those areas that really need specific dealings with, like
Right.
trauma and
Right.
unforgiveness and anger and bitterness. So I want to embrace the fact that she brung up church hurt. We're going to hit some more of her book and all that other stuff in one moment, but I want us to embrace that. Sybil and Denise, if you can talk to us about, you know, how can she mentioned how she belonged to a whole nother ministry and how that ministry can help her. The church is supposed to be the place that we go to for refuge.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that she wasn't able to get that at her previous church home. So I want us to kind of discuss, Denise or Sybil, whichever one of you guys want to go first, what, the impact of church hurt, where it makes you run instead of stay.
Yeah.
Well, I know several people who have gone through church hurt. One thing I can say about my church is that we are very transparent. Our members have gone through some very traumatic experiences, and we're very transparent and open, not only through the word, but through the sessions with our men's meetings, our women's meetings, our youth meetings, and so forth. I believe that when it comes to church hurt, from what I've seen, even just ministering to people who have been at other churches, when they do find a church that God sends them to get that healing, sometimes it's hard for them because
Mm-hmm.
it hurts so much
Mm-hmm.
that it makes it a little difficult. I don't know if it was for you in the beginning when you went to that church in Arkansas to kind of be able to open up or to see where you fit in. I truly believe that God sends us to a particular place to receive that healing. And
Yeah.
I think it's up to the individual to want to receive it,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they see that the place is very transparent and very open. Um, I think that when it comes to church hurt, um, I've never really experienced it on the level that many other people have, but again, it comes with maturity, the deliverance. One of the questions I want to ask you, maybe for our audience, so it's a little bit more clear, especially for those who may not be church and listening in. You mentioned that you was filled with legions. Many people don't understand legions is a multiplicity of demons that one can be possessed or host in one's body. And the fact that you said that legions, not just the enemy, lets you know that even in that, because even the bound, just being bound by a legion is more difficult to escape out of that. And I want to commend you for that, just even sharing that with us. I don't know if you want to expound on that a little bit more, what that experience of being um, bound by legions is, just to explain a little bit to our audience.
The different legions, when I was going through when I was going through deliverance, it's 17 strongholds that attach itself to our bodies.
Mm,
One could be jealousy, suicidal tendencies, pornography. It's a multitude of them. And in the Bible, it gives you scriptures to go to that describe each legion and the symptoms and the side effects. And I realized that I had most of those legions attached to me. One was fear, one
mm,
was jealousy, one was suicidal tendencies, looking to God as a mother and a father. Um, I didn't even realize that I was jealous of some of the things I would look at my youngest daughter and her walk with God, and I would say, okay, Lord, why am I not where my daughter is? And then I realized that was a form of jealousy. And that was one of the legions that was attached to me. And I had to get rid of that legion.
Now, at the time that you had it, you didn't realize you had it.
No.
Okay, because a lot of people that are having those same type of issues, believe it or not, they are very oblivious to it.
Yeah.
Very oblivious to it. Other people can see it. Other people
Yes.
recognize it. but the person themselves doesn't recognize it. What pushed you to that point where you said, you know what, I need to be delivered, and you was open and ready to receive it?
When I joined the Hub, which is Central Arkansas Worship Center, I went through deliverance with one of the pastors there. And when he literally read me like a book. The first time I went to the Hub, he read me up and down. Didn't know me from Adam, but he read me like a book. And when I went through deliverance with him and his wife, he gave me a pamphlet that shows the 17 different strongholds that attach itself to your body.
Wow.
And that sometimes you have to look in the mirror. When I was reading over them, I took a good look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, that's me. That's me. When it came to the jealousy part, when it came to the fearful part, when it came to the gluttony, when it came to the talkative part, when it came to suicidal tendencies and everything that I was reading was relating to what I was going through or what I had went through. And the way for me to break free from it was to inhale and blow it out.
Wow.
Inhale, blow it out, pray, ask the Lord to help me for one. But the most part was to inhale, blow it out, release it, and set yourself free from it. And he taught me how to set myself free, how to blow that. Basically, it's like you're blowing out dead air.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're blowing out dead air. And it's like when you release and you fully release, it's like a weight comes off you.
Yes.
I mean, it's a weight. And like I said, I tell my coworkers, they ask me a lot of times, you always so chipper and happy. I have to be, because I look at where I used to be and where I am today. And a lot of the things that I had attached to me, I don't have anymore. I still go through mass deliverance. I still go through kingdom recovery. I still do everything I need to do to stay focused and to stay, on top of, to make sure that don't try to attach itself to me again.
You know what? I applaud you.
Thank you so much.
Applaud you for that, because it takes a lot of courage just to admit that and to be very transparent about it. So thank you. Thank you for that.
You.
Amen. I do want to say a little bit about the deliverance. I do commend you as well for you sharing with us about what deliverance looks like. You talked about the inhaling and the blowing out. And also amazing that you shared with us about just how you got to a place. One thing I want to add to that is that you also shared, the processes, the steps that it took for you to get to a place of deliverance. For everything that we all have been through, would you say that deliverance is a process? Is it a process? It took you a moment to get there and you're there, or are you completely delivered?
It's a process, because you have to, I don't care what you may say, I'm delivered from a certain thing, and then realize you're truly not, because you find yourself going back to them old habits.
Yes.
So it's a daily process, just like we walk with the Lord. It's a daily process. We have to say, for me, I have to stay focused. And the first thing I do when I open my eyes in the morning is I thank God for waking me up, for one. And my prayer is, okay, Lord, bridle this tongue, help me to say the right thing, keep me humble, keep me with a sweet spirit at all times, because we don't realize we're dealing with so many different personalities and so many different spirits throughout the day. So for me to stay on point and to stay on key, I have to also stay in the word. And I have to be able to recognize certain things when they try to come up on me.
Absolutely. And it is so amazing because, people can be saved for years. And we will not admit that we have issues.
Yeah.
And so I thank God that you came on this broadcast and even discussed that, you had these particular, we call them spirits. You said legions, they're all the same. And so a lot of us have not become in a place of maturity where we're willing to discuss those type of things. And I thank God for Healing and Deliverance Ministries, because it teaches you to be open, and I'm grateful for your openness,
Yeah.
Now, as it relates to your children, I know we're preparing to go to a commercial, but how did you expose this to your children as as you had your children? Did you share with them what had occurred or happened with you, or what else did you do to share with them some of the battles you had prior to them being older? I think it's important that we have to share with our children. I have shared with my son some different difficulties that I've had in my life. Have you shared those difficulties with your children as well?
Well, my children were actually, when they were younger, they saw a lot of the things I was dealing with when I was going through depression and the suicide attempts. The last suicide attempt, my children were at home when I did it. And my youngest daughter, she told me, she said, she said, Ma, I saw you going up the stairs, and the Lord just told me to start praying.
Wow.
And that's when I did the gasoline and everything. But at that point, I was at a real low point, because the devil works with you. He kept telling me, you're better off dead. Your kids are better off without you.
Right.
Go ahead and end it now. And it kept, playing over and over in my head. And I believe that I was spared because my daughter was praying. Because my daughter was praying.
My God.
My children, they already told me, I'm not reading your book, Mama. But I said, that's fine. Because there's certain things in the book they probably don't want to know. But they know what I went through, and they know the struggles. They may not know all of the struggles, but they know a big majority of the struggles. And they feel like, okay, Mama, we with you 100%, no matter what. I'm not going to read the book, but I'm still there.
Yes.
I think what it is, they don't want to relive what I had to relive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, that was powerful. I know we're getting ready to go to a commercial break. I hate we going to a commercial break because this is so powerful. I want to stay right here, but we got to go to this commercial break right now. So I want to tell everybody to hold their seat, hold on, and we're getting ready to prepare for a commercial break.
All right.
Dr. Kiana Battle gives service from the heart, focusing on training, education, and professional development. Specialty areas include grief and loss, trauma, informed practice, policy development, grant writing development, public school social work education, professional presentation, and youth and adolescent development. Consulting service fees are based on specific specialty areas. There is no charge for the initial consulting. You can contact Dr. Kiana Battle today by emailing her at info@kbattleconsulting.com or visit her website at www.kbattleconsulting.com.
Hi, ladies. I'm so glad we're back. But I do want to thank our sponsors, Dr. Kiana Battle and author Robert Bilmo. Your contributions are vital to continue the Denise Newsome Show. We cannot succeed, neither go forward without your generosity. And so we thank God for our supporters for Denise Newsome Show. I'm so excited because I got a question. I have a question for you, Ms. Hill.
Yes.
I would love for you to show us a copy of your book, and then I would like for you to share with us what inspired you to write the book.
Okay, this is a copy of the book here. The original title was actually supposed to be Why Me? But then God said, why not you? And what I did was the young lady that was my ghostwriter, we changed the title to Ring of Life Still Standing because it was rings. I looked at each chapter, it's not a chapter, but round one, round two, all the way up to round six, the beginning till now. What mostly inspired me to do it was the fact that I just needed to put it out there because I realized going to the hub where I'm a member at now, it's so many women that are going through or went through what I went through. And like you said before, so many women and men who are afraid to share and tell what happened. And they have all that pain and guilt and hurt still bottled up inside. The book was basically, for me, was through all the pain, through all the hurt, you still can come out on top.
Yes.
And I think that was my biggest inspiration, that I came out on top.
Amen.
You know, and if I can come out on top, you can come out on top. You know, I tell people, when you purchase the book, don't treat me any different than you've been treating me. I'm still the same person.
Excellent. Excellent. That's powerful. You know, where can we buy the book at? Where can we purchase this book?
The book is actually available on Amazon.
Okay.
Just put in my name, Charlotte Hill, The Ring of Life Still Standing. You can order it on Amazon. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
You can follow me there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also, we're going to post the link later so that everybody can see where to go on Amazon to get the book.
Mm-hmm.
You can also email me.
Okay.
And then I'll give that out right quick. It's ctillman464@gmail.com if you want a personal copy and if you want a signed copy by me.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
As it relates to you belonging to the hub in Arkansas,
yes, ma'am.
Are there also young people that you can encourage that are going through? I shared with Denise that I've worked with young people. I'm substituting at a school, and you'll be amazed. These are 12, 13, 14-year-olds who are dealing with this type of thing. Is there an opportunity in your church or in other parts of your community that you can share what you went through and help other, like, young people? Because you said this happened to you at the age of 11.
Yes. We have a lot of young people at our church, which is a blessing. And we have a ministry that cultivates them. My daughter is one of them that cultivates the younger ones. Because believe it or not, it's so many young people going through, and we don't know because they don't want to say anything about it.
Yes.
Right.
And they usually need someone that they can confide in.
Yes.
The thing I love about the hub is that, like you said before, it's transparent.
Yes.
You know, everybody's transparent. Don't be afraid to speak up. If you don't want to speak to a certain individual, go to somebody else. It's always someone there, young or old. We have a young lady, my pastor's granddaughter, 7 years old, on the altar, praying out to God, you know, and asking for healing for her teachers and her classmates.
Beautiful, beautiful.
You know, and they say train them up, you know, in the way they should go, and they will not depart from it. The thing I love about it is that we don't sit them down.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're 5-year-olds. My granddaughter walks around a lot of times laying hands on people, you know, and she wants, you know, speaking in tongue and everything else.
Yes.
And it's a blessing to see young people interacting and knowing that they can come to you and talk to you, and what they tell you is not being spread abroad.
Absolutely.
You know, that's the blessing of being at the hub, is having a ministry to where it's young and old, and you can go to anybody in that ministry and don't have to worry about your business being on the other side of the street.
Yes.
You know, we've got some young people who contemplated suicide because of dealing with peer pressure and things at school and even things at home. But it's a blessing to know that you do have a place to come.
Yes.
You know, you're not going to be told to be quiet. You have a place where you can say how you feel and what you're going through and what you're dealing with. And again, it's not being spread. You have that safe haven. They tell us that the church is a place where we're supposed, where we can go and be safe and be helped. But a lot of times it's not, and that's why a lot of folks run from the church. But
Yeah.
I thank God that I'm in a place where we have that openness, and we have a pastor that allows us and teaches us to have that openness and to reach back out, especially to the younger generation.
Absolutely.
Not just the young ones in the church, but outside the church too.
As well.
Excellent. Ladies, do you guys have any questions for Miss Hill? I got a couple of more. I got two more questions, and I just was trying to find out if you guys had some questions before I ask her some questions. Denise, do you got a question for Miss Hill?
No, you doing great, and so is Miss Hill doing great. I am just in awe of her story.
Yeah.
I really am. It's very, very touching. And before, if I can request something before we leave, once you finish, if we could just give God praise for her life.
Yes, yes,
If we
yes,
could just give praise for her life.
yes, yes, we would
And
do that.
those that are watching, give God praise with us when the time comes.
Yeah, amen.
Amen.
Sybil, did you have any other questions before we?
I'm just absorbing it in. I'm thinking about, the series of events that's happened in my life, and just knowing how great God is when he gets you to a place of deliverance.
Yes.
And I truly believe that everything that we go through in life is part of a ministry. I've always said that my testimony is my witness
Yes.
on how good God is.
Mm-hmm.
That he allows us to go through certain situations to be a testimony, but also to be a witness and to be able to help people that may not be able to help themselves. Let them know you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone. That there are people that been through what you've been through, and we can talk about it, and we can help each other get through and continue the process, because healing is continual. You're always going to continue to go through the process. And one of the things that I've always see is, like you talked about it before, is just that sometimes these things may come up. How do you know when you're delivered? Is when you don't get triggered by it.
Yes.
Times those triggers will stay dormant. It can stay dormant for years until all of a sudden it comes up, whether it's through a relationship, through it's with a friend, church, whatever it may be. And when that trigger comes up and you react on it strongly as if it just happened,
yes,
then you know that healing process is not finished yet. And I believe it's at that time. I don't know if it's for you, but I believe it's at that time we have to really ask ourselves, you know what? I still need some help. And don't be afraid to ask it. So I commend you on that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thanks, ladies. I want to say this. You brought this up about the children, about how the ministry allows the children to be open about whatever their issues are, and how you guys help them with the dynamics of whatever their issues are, right? But there is a really bad myth in our community, and we do this a lot in our homes. What happens in this house stays in this house. And we have used that to make our children not tell the truth about things, because if mom and daddy said what goes on in this house stays in this house, you don't say anything. And you live. I've never dealt with molestation. However, things that happened in my house that I probably really needed to expose, I live by that creed. And it's so unfortunate that even with young people, with young people or, younger folks, the little kids, we have indoctrinated them to operate like that.
Yeah.
You gotta not tell nobody what's happening in your home. What do we do, or what should we do to reassure children, even though they may have something going on in the home, that they can still talk to us about it?
For me, it was fear. For
Okay.
me, it was fear. And we moved a lot. We moved a lot. We moved a lot because when the neighbors started, you know, looking at us like, okay, something ain't right with that family, we up and moved. For me, it was fear because my biggest fear was they're going to take us from my mom.
Okay.
And I don't know where we'll end up.
Okay.
And that other fear was if I say anything, what's going to happen to me?
Right.
Understood.
And it took from my mom's friend, believe it or not, it took from my mom's friend the very last time it happened. He almost killed my mom. And my mom's friend came over. Long story short, she came over and we were at the neighbor's house because we were afraid to go home. And he called the police on us. And my mother's friend blurted out what he had been doing because she knew. She felt it and she knew. But it took for a stranger, I don't even want to say a stranger, it took for a friend to speak up for us. For one, you have to ensure, you have to instill, and you have to let them know, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I'm here, I'm here for you. A lot of times kids feel lost because they feel like there's nobody there for them. But if we can ensure them that we're there for them, no matter what, we're going to take this ride right along with you. I've done some things in the past when I found out issues or found out certain things about my children's friends. I made phone calls.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't see seeing a child go through what I went through. You know, you might not be able to confront the individual personally, but you can also make a phone call.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you have to let them know that they do have a safe haven, somewhere they can go where they, where they'll feel safe.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have that. We didn't have any family when we were in Detroit. None. It was just me, my siblings, and my mom.
Wow.
And we didn't have anywhere to go. We had each other. You know, by the grace of God, he kept us together. A lot of families fall apart. A lot of families split up. But our ordeal brought us closer. And I think we're closer today than we've ever been.
Wonderful.
You know, we're able to talk. We don't talk about, what happened in our past, but we move forward and we keep moving forward. You know, and I tell people I'm not ashamed of what I went through. I'm not ashamed of what happened to me.
Right.
It happened for a reason. But I'm going to continue to spread. I'm going to continue to talk about it. I'm going to continue to embrace. You know, I finally forgave the person that did it to me. I thought I had forgiven them, but these past few months, I realized that I hadn't. That was one of those legions that still had me bound.
Yeah.
And I finally was able to forgive that person.
Wow.
And it felt so good to say, okay, I forgive you.
Yeah.
I forgive you for what you did.
I got a question. I'm sorry, Sybil, go ahead.
I was just wanted to just comment on what you just said. So you actually went to your stepdad and
no, he passed away in prison.
Okay.
He passed away in prison. And one of the things that we have to do, even if that individual is not here anymore, you still need to say, I'm sorry.
Right.
Just like I'm talking to you guys, I had to talk to him and say, I apologize and I'm sorry and I forgive you. And I had to forgive myself.
Okay.
You know.
Good. All right. Sorry, Deidre.
It's okay. It's okay. This question may be a little different, but I noticed this was your stepdad. So your mom married someone. And then you also said earlier in your introduction, you've dated or met men or, maybe at one point, you was with someone. So my question is in the process of choosing an individual, because sometimes we may not know an individual's complete background, for us that are single, we meet men and, you don't know their background and then I love them. And you don't really know what their legions are, right?
Right.
And then we choose someone and we bring them around our children. Can you talk about that a little bit in your experience of the point you're single, you meet someone? What was your processes of thinking when you met someone and you know your mother had married someone and this type of thing happened in your home?
Well, the thing about it, she never married him. Her and my father never got divorced. They stayed married up until they both passed away to each other. She never married him, but and back then you considered that person your stepdad because they were with your mom.
Right.
And like my children, I was looking for a father figure. So I never dated anyone my age. They had to be 15 to 20 years older than me.
Interesting.
Wow.
I could not see myself with someone my age.
Okay.
And by me looking for that father figure, I was looking in all the wrong places and hooking up with all the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't bring them around my children because I didn't want them around them. Because my fear was I don't want what happened to me to happen to them.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't allow the men I dated around my children. And then, like I say, most of them were 15, 20 years older. My oldest daughter, her dad was, I think, 15 years older than me. My twins, their dad was almost 20 years older than me.
Wow.
And my twins' dad, to me, he was all of my children's dad because he treated them and treated me like we were kings and queens. And it was like I looked at him as a father because of that age, because he treated me. I didn't have that father in my childhood. I didn't have a father to me growing up.
Right.
So that part of me, there was a void there. And I needed to fill that void. And for me to fill it, I had to get someone older than me. But their dad taught me that, okay, you can be you, you can love you, you don't have to settle, and he was, we didn't make it all the way, but he was there, till the end. And then when he passed away, even before he passed away and I moved on and I had married my first husband, he was still there providing, gave us anything we needed. And, and I was like, okay, he was my father. That's how I looked at it. He was doing what my father should have done.
Right.
Right.
What would be your words of encouragement if somebody is on this live right now watching this and they have contemplated suicide? What would be your words of wisdom? What would be the first response if someone came to you and said, I'm thinking about this because these particular things are happening in my life?
It's to find someone you can talk to. Find somebody you can trust. People always tell you, well, you could always told me, or you could have came to me. You can't go to everybody and tell everybody what you're going through.
No,
because they're not going to understand.
No,
I had to go to somebody that was going through what I went through, or someone that had went through what I went through. And I found that when I started going to the hub. We have a group that's called Mothers of Israel, where we get together and we talk about our testimonies and what we went through. And I was so surprised to hear a lot of the women say the things that I was going through or went through as a child, they went through. When you can find someone that's on the same level as you, because my thing is, I don't want nobody to come and tell me what I need to do if you haven't been to where I've been.
Absolutely.
If you haven't walked the road I've walked, if you haven't journeyed where I'm journeying, please don't come and tell me what I need to do.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And when I found, and I know it might be hard for a lot of people to say, well, I don't really have anybody I can go to. You got to find somebody you can trust.
Yes.
Somebody you can trust, even if they haven't went through all of the things you're going through. Believe me, they went through something.
Yes. Wow. Amazing. That's very good advice. I just want to say this show is so good. I'm trying to figure out, we need to have you next month.
Yes.
Yes, it was amazing. And I hate to even get to a place of ending it because I really do have some more questions, but we're literally at the 5 minutes before the end of the program. But I just want to honor you as a woman of God who has made a decision. You got to make a decision to do this type of thing. When you've been through some type of pain and then God blesses you because you're willing to go out and tell the masses about what you went through. And so I want to commend you on that. And I want to encourage you that, wherever God leads you in this process, I'm going to get the book. I'm going to Amazon. I'm going to get the book because I got to read the whole book. But whatever God leads you to further this particular gospel, because this is huge in our community, suicide, and we don't talk about it enough. We just don't. We don't talk about it enough, and it needs to be dealt with, and it does need to be discussed. Mental health in our community is difficult to talk about because who we are as a people, we don't want to really share stuff. And so I want to commend you, ladies. If you want to say something to Miss Hill, this is a good time to say something before we end, but we would love to have you next month, Miss Hill.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. And just like we had a good time on our phone conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
It was a great interview. It was a great interview, and just sharing and exposing your experience in life, your journey. We're very grateful.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And just to comment on two things that you said, just to our audience, when it comes to relationships and getting involved with someone, especially I was a single mom 25 years before I got married, and one of the things I was very careful on the men that I brought around my child, and actually my child never met any of them because I was never serious with some of them. So ladies, please listen to all the single parents out there. If you're in a relationship, you're looking, just please be careful, because you don't know, pedophiles are everywhere, male and female. So remember that. And then also too, just for those, if you're thinking about suicide, whatever, call someone. You may not have somebody, but there is, I'm not sure, Nisi, if we have the telephone number for the suicide prevention. Maybe we can get that up for the next time. If they have to call somebody, you may not feel at that moment, you may not have anyone, like, we've gone through, but there is somebody you can call. So before you take that last thought in trying to hurt yourself, put harm to yourself, just remember that just try one more time, trying to reach out to somebody, because your life is precious. And just thank you, sis, for your awesome testimony.
Thank you.
You back next month.
Yes, ma'am.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much. We would like to thank Derek White for skillfully putting in the work to make this show happen this evening. Derek, thank you so much. Join us next month with Miss Hill. We thank you, Miss Hill, and we honor you on tonight. We thank you for your testimony, your transparency, your realness. Thank you for sharing. We love you. And ladies, please stay on the line. God bless. Thank you, viewers.
I hope you enjoyed this evening's broadcast. Our new show times are as followed. The first Monday of the month will be a powerful word from God. The second Monday is In Your Element, where our guests share their gifts and talents. The third Monday, join the ladies of Mask Off, where authentic conversation happens, with our hostesses Denise Newsom, Sybil Price Rucker, and Deirdre Moody. And the fourth Monday is Sitting with Denise. All show times are from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Denise Newsom Show, the show that gives credit where credit is due. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share at the Denise Newsom Show. Increase your brand's awareness by advertising with the Denise Newsom Show. Let Denise help you to get your message out. She offers a 30-second video commercial or a voiceover flyer with your information. Contact Denise at denisenewsom.com or email her at denisenewsom64@gmail.com for more information. Help the Denise Newsom Show give credit where credit is due. You can contact Denise today at www.denisenewsom.com or by emailing her at denisenewsom64@gmail.com with a love offering or sponsorship gift to help keep her show running. You are appreciated at the Denise Newsom Show, and she looks forward to hearing from you. Thank you for tuning in to this evening's broadcast. Join Denise next week as she has a conversation with Minister David Bratton.
Well, you go ahead, Miss Lisa Newsom. I love the energy